One for the money. His gaze shifted downward, and one for what they really built this place for. Lena stared at him. What's down there? He swallowed hard, every muscle in his jaw tightening. The real asset. The hum sank into a low, seismic vibration that rippled through the chamber, rattling the crates, shaking loose frost, echoing with something that felt alive. Lena clutched the envelope in her trembling hand. Deep beneath the floor, something ancient and powerful stirred, waiting for her to open the next door, waiting for the one Harwood it recognized, and as the vault lights dimmed, then flickered back to life in a deep, warning gold, Lena realized the money wasn't the secret, the vault wasn't the treasure, and level 4 wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The vibration rising from beneath the vault floor deepened until it became a physical pressure, an invisible weight settling across Lena's shoulders, across the crates, across the cold air itself. It felt like the earth under her boots was breathing, slow, heavy, ancient. The man braced himself against a steel column, eyes locked on the center of the vault floor where faint lines Lena hadn't noticed before, began to glow through the frost. Perfectly straight seams warming into visibility like veins beneath pale skin. The floor was not solid. It was a door, a second vault, a deeper level no blueprint had acknowledged. Lena's heartbeat thundered in her chest. Her father's name on the envelope felt like a brand against her palm. "What is down there?" she whispered. The man shook his head slowly, not in refusal but in fear. "I wasn't cleared for it," he said. "None of us were. We only knew the protocol. Guard level 4, seal if compromised, await extraction. We were told the asset was critical, but no details, no briefings, only that its existence never reaches daylight. And they left you here with it." As if the question pulled something out of him, the man's expression twisted, pain mixing with bitterness. "They didn't leave," he said. "They ran." The words hung in the frozen air like a verdict. A second clunk echoed beneath the floor, louder than before, metal colliding with metal in a motion too deliberate to be mechanical failure. The glow from the seams intensified, casting long, gold-lit shadows along the vault walls. Frost hissed as it melted in thin, steaming lines. The vault was warming. The lower chamber was activating. The envelope in Lena's hand felt heavier with every breath. She lifted it slowly, her fingers numb from cold and shock. A part of her wanted to open it immediately, to see her father's handwriting, to understand why a forgotten federal vault recognized her blood. But the floor shifted again, groaning softly, and the decision was stolen from her. A panel near the vault's rear wall flickered to life, an old monitor she hadn't noticed before, its thick glass trembling with static. Lines of distorted text stuttered across it before stabilizing into a single message. Level 4, inner seal disengaged, authorized lineage match. Harwood proceed to secondary lift, the man swore under his breath. "Secondary lift," he murmured. "I thought that was a rumor, a myth they used to scare us into following protocol." Lena's skin prickled. The lift meant there was another descent, another depth, another hidden layer beneath the vault of cash. The money wasn't the treasure, it was the camouflage, a lie wrapped in $100 bills. "What did they bury under this place?" she said. The man met her eyes, his voice low and bleak. "Something worth shutting down a whole airport, something worth erasing people, something worth freezing time for." Another seismic vibration rippled through the vault floor, this time lifting dust into the air as the glowing seams widened. The metal beneath began to shift, peeling apart in geometric precision as steam rose from the opening crevice. Lena took a step back. The floor was opening, the lift was rising, or worse, something was coming up. The man grabbed her arm, not with aggression, but with urgency. Listen to me. If you go down there, everything in your life changes. Whatever your father was part of, it led here, to this moment, to you." His grip tightened. "But you don't have to follow him." Lena stared down at the widening seam, at the faint golden glow rising from below, bathing her boots in trembling light. The air drifting up was not cold, it was warm, pulsing with regulated temperature, a controlled environment designed for preservation. Preservation of what? The second hum, deeper, slower, felt almost like a heartbeat, ancient, tethered to the machinery of the facility itself. She swallowed hard. "My father brought me here," she said quietly, even if he never spoke a word of it. The man's jaw tightened. "Then you need to understand one thing." He stepped closer, lowering his voice as the vault lights flickered. "Everything sealed underground is dangerous, not because of what it can do, but because of what people are willing to do for it." Before Lena could respond, the floor split fully, metal panels sliding apart in smooth, terrifying synchronization. A column of warm air surged upward, scattering frost and sending shimmering waves across the vault. At the center of the opening rose a platform, circular, reinforced, illuminated with a soft internal glow. The secondary lift, waiting, ready, summoned by her blood. Lena's breath hitched. The lift surface bore no controls, no markings, only a single symbol engraved in the metal, a triangle, the same one she'd found in the flight logs. The same one marked on the keycard, the emblem of the operation. The man stepped away, shaking his head as if torn between warning her and letting fate take its course. "You don't have clearance for what's below," he said. "Not by training, not by authority." She turned to him, voice steady despite the fear coiling inside her. "But I have clearance by birth." The lift hummed softly, inviting her, summoning her, recognizing her. She stepped toward it. The man reached out instinctively, then stopped himself, as if realizing no force on earth could pull her back now. Lena placed her foot on the platform. It vibrated in response. Warm, alive, awakening, the vault lights dimmed, the hum synchronized with the lift's pulse, the air thickened, swirling with the metallic scent of secrecy older than she was. She took one last breath, clutching the unopened envelope in her hand. The lift shuddered, then it began to descend, slowly, smoothly, silently. As the vault above her shrank into a sliver of light, Lena realized that everything she thought she'd discovered, the tower, the keypad, the binders, the cache, had been only the surface of a truth far deeper. A truth her father had buried in the one place he knew she would one day find. And as the lift sank into the golden, lit depths of level 4, Lena understood. The real secret wasn't the money. It wasn't the vault. It wasn't even the hidden facility. The real secret was waiting for her in the dark below, and it had been waiting for 34 years. The lift sank so smoothly into the earth that Lena barely felt movement, only the shifting pressure in her ears, the muffled sigh of air adjusting around her, and the slow, dimming echo of the vault above as its light narrowed into a thin, trembling halo. Then even that vanished, darkness wrapped around her like velvet, warm, silent, alive. The hum of the machinery followed her downward, deepening, stretching, resonating through every steel panel of the moving platform until it felt less like sound and more like a presence, something ancient and engineered that had waited decades to feel movement again. Lena kept one hand curled around the envelope marked Harwood, and the other tight around the flashlight she couldn't bring herself to switch on. Some instinct whispered that whatever waited below was already watching. After a long descent, long enough to feel unnatural, longer than the depth of any ordinary bunker, the lift began to slow. The hum shifted, rising into a higher tone as if welcoming her. Then, a soft chime. Gentle, measuring, approving. Warm light bloomed beneath her feet, chasing back the dark with a golden glow that felt eerily organic, as though the chamber itself exhaled light. The platform halted. Lena lifted her gaze and froze. She stood at the entrance to a massive circular chamber, far larger than anything above ground, larger even than the vault she had just descended from. The walls curved in a perfect ring, lined with reinforced panels that shimmered faintly beneath the golden light. Symbols, triangles, numerical codes, stamped insignias, ran in precise patterns along every surface, repeating like a language she didn't yet understand. But the center of the chamber, that was what held her breath hostage. A colossal vault door dominated the room, far larger than the level 4 entrance, its seamless steel surface unmarred by rust or age. Embedded in its center was a round glass panel filled with swirling frost and light, shimmering like an artificial aurora. Thin veins of blue energy pulsed outward from the glass, disappearing into conduits along the walls. The entire door was alive. Heat radiated from it like the slow breath of a sleeping titan. The platform clicked into place, locking itself with a precision that sent a small vibration through the floor. Lena stepped off carefully, her boots crunching against a thin layer of frost that cracked like frozen sugar beneath each step. She approached slowly. The chamber's temperature shifted around her, warm on her face, cold on her fingertips, pockets of heat and chill weaving through the air in patterns too steady to be random. This place wasn't abandoned. It was maintained, regulated, preserved. Her flashlight beam swept across the floor, revealing deep tracks, marks left by crates, equipment, heavy transport carts. Some were old, worn into the steel, others fresh. Her pulse thickened. Someone else had been here recently, not 30 years ago, not months ago, days, maybe hours. Her breath fogged as she neared the center vault. The glass panel brightened. The blue veins pulsed faster. Something behind the door stirred in response. The air changed, charged with static, thick with the metallic scent of something stored under pressure for far too long. Lena's voice escaped her in a thin, trembling whisper. "What were you hiding down here?" The chamber didn't answer, but the vault did. A circular interface lit up beside the door, all sleek, entirely different from the 1980s era technology above. This system was advanced, smooth, seamless, a generation ahead of anything she'd seen in her engineering career. Text appeared across the interface in glowing blue letters. Biolineage confirmed secondary access, granted remaining security layer. Locked a pause, then a new line, override key required. Lena's heart lurched. Override key, her father's envelope. Her hand trembled as she lifted the fragile paper. The cold had stiffened its edges. The ink on the front shimmered faintly under the warm chamber light. She wanted to open it, needed to, but fear crawled up her spine like icy fingers. What if the answer inside changed everything she thought she knew about him? About herself, about why she had been drawn here. Her thumb slipped beneath the envelope flap. The paper cracked softly, but before she could open it, a sharp metallic echo rang across the chamber. Not from machinery, not from the vault, from behind her. Lena spun around, flashlight slicing through the golden haze. Someone stepped out of the shadows near the lift. Not the man from level 4, someone new, someone armed, someone tall, deliberate, cloaked in matte, black tactical gear that reflected none of the chamber's light. A visor concealed his face, a rifle hung at his side, a badge on his chest glinted sharply beneath her beam. Strike Operations Fairway Protocol Unit. Her stomach dropped. Another operative, alive, active, not abandoned. He pointed directly at the envelope in her hand. His voice was a calm, lethal whisper. "Miss Harwood, Step away from the door. Lena's breath hitched. Her pulse spiked. Her world shrank to a narrow point of fear and realization. She had not been alone down here, not for a single second. The vault wasn't the only thing that had awakened. The people who once guarded it, who once worked in the shadows, had awakened too. She clutched the envelope closer to her chest. The operative stepped forward, boots silent across the frosted steel. "Put the override key on the ground," he said, and walked toward me slowly. Her mind raced. The man upstairs was terrified of the vault. This man was terrified of her opening it, meaning whatever was inside wasn't just dangerous. It was forbidden, something no one was meant to see, not even him. Lena stepped back instinctively. Her voice cracked through the cold. "What's behind that door?" The operative's jaw tightened behind the visor. "That information is beyond your clearance." Lena's grip tightened on the envelope. But my blood opened it. His silence said everything. He lifted the rifle, not aiming but threatening. "Do not make me choose protocol over mercy." A tremor shuddered through the vault behind her. The blue veins pulsed faster. The glass panel glowed like a rising dawn. Something beneath that door was waking. Lena realized she had seconds to choose whether she obeyed him or followed the legacy her father left in her hand. The operative took another step closer. "Put it down." Lena's eyes drifted to the vault, to the swirling light beneath the glass, to the fractures forming within the frost, to the envelope burning with unanswered truth. The chamber hummed in rising anticipation. The vault pulsed, the air vibrated. The operative reached for her, and Lena, breath trembling, heart pounding, made her choice, the one her father had prepared her for. She tore the envelope open. The envelope tore with a dry, brittle snap, the sound slicing through the chamber like a warning shot. Tiny fragments of paper drifted into the golden air, catching the light as they fluttered down. Lena didn't feel her own breath leave her lungs, but she felt the entire room react. The vault's glow surged, blue veins igniting, glass spiraling with light, the hum rising from a tremor to a throb. The operative lunged, "Stop," but it was already too late. Her fingers slipped inside the envelope, brushing something metallic, smooth, thin, cold as ice despite the warmth of the chamber. She pulled it free. A key, not a card, not a code strip. A physical key, small, black, forged from a metal she didn't recognize. Triangular tooth, hollowed center, the same emblem engraved on it, a triangle surrounded by a ring. The operative froze mid-step. His boots screeched against the frost. His body locked in place as if someone had yanked an invisible chain tight around his spine. His voice dropped into a hoarse whisper of disbelief. That key was destroyed, a beat. It was supposed to be destroyed. Lena stared at the object in her palm, the edges shimmering faintly in the vault's low light. The warmth she felt wasn't heat, it was recognition. The key pulsed once, a soft vibration that traveled into her bones. Her father's legacy, his handwriting on the envelope, his name carved into the vault frame. This key had never been meant for the operatives, or the government, or the system that buried this place. It had been meant for her. The operative regained motion, taking another slow, careful step, his rifle lowering as if the key itself were a threat. "Listen to me," he murmured. "You don't understand what that opens. It was never meant to be used, not by anyone, especially not." His visor tilted toward her. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The vault answered for him. A deafening boom echoed through the chamber as the circular interface beside the door lit up in violent gold. The glass panel at the vault's center rippled like disturbed water. Frost shattered outward in a ring, spraying shards across the floor like tiny shooting stars. Text burned across the interface. Primary override detected. Final access. Key required. Insert key. Below, a small hatch opened at the base of the vault. Silent, smooth, waiting. Waiting for that exact key. The operative raised a hand, desperation cracking through his mask of control. Lena, don't. Whatever your father told you, however he prepared you, you weren't meant to continue this. They shut Fairway down for a reason. The hum swelled beneath her boots. The chamber vibrated. The waft of warm air from the vault deepened into a heated current pulling toward her hand. Lena swallowed hard, breath shaking, and whispered, "My father didn't tell me anything." The operative blinked, taken aback. "Then why, I found this place," she said, voice trembling but certain. "I followed the clues and this key reacted to me, not you." His chest rose sharply. "You don't know what's behind that door." She met his gaze. "No one does, that's the problem." The vault pulsed again, the light flaring, the veins surging, the hum deepening into something that felt alive. The operative's voice cracked. What's behind that door should stay buried. It was the entire point of Operation Fairway Shutdown. The chamber's lights flickered violently as if rejecting the statement, and Lena understood something with chilling clarity. The shutdown hadn't been a containment, it had been a betrayal. Someone had sealed this facility not to protect the world from what was inside, but to protect themselves from it being found. The key vibrated again in her palm, gentle, insistent, guiding. The vault wanted to open. And the legacy her father left had brought her here on purpose. Lena stepped forward. The operative raised his rifle, shaking now, not from aggression but from fear. "Don't make me enforce protocol," he warned. "If that door opens, there's no coming back from what follows." She stepped closer. The hatch glowed brighter, spreading a warm halo across the frost. Another step. The operative shouted, "Stop," and lunged, but the chamber itself intervened. A shockwave burst from the vault, silent, invisible, absolute. It slammed into the room with the force of a hurricane of compressed air. Console screens shattered. Frost exploded off the walls. The operative was thrown backward as if struck by a giant's hand, crashing against the steel bulkhead with a sickening thud. Lena dropped to her knees, shielding her head as the room roared with rising heat and electricity. The key in her palm remained untouched, untossed, steady. When the air settled, she rose slowly. The operative lay on the ground, conscious but dazed, coughing, reaching toward her with trembling fingers. "Don't," he rasped. "Please, it's not a treasure, it's not wealth, it's not money." Lena stood before the glowing hatch. She lifted the key. "It's not money I'm opening," she whispered. "It's answers." As the vault's ancient machinery exhaled heat in one long, trembling breath, Lena inserted the triangular key into the waiting lock, and the chamber went silent. So silent she could hear her own heartbeat. Then, click, a sound so small, so simple, so final, and the great vault door began to move. The vault door did not swing open. It unfolded. Steel plates shifted in layered spirals, rotating like the petals of a mechanical flower waking from a 34-year sleep. Each movement released a cascade of frost that drifted across the chamber like glittering ash. The air warmed with every turning segments, oft currents whispering outward, smelling faintly of metal, oil, and something older. Something untouched by human breath for decades. Lena stepped back as the final layer of the vault door drew apart, revealing absolute black beyond. Not darkness, not emptiness, a void that felt conscious. Her light probed the threshold, but the darkness devoured the beam, swallowing every photon before it could land. It was a darkness with weight, with depth, with purpose. Behind her, the operative groaned, trying to push himself up on shaking elbows. His voice cracked, "Don't go in there. Please, you still have time to walk away." Lena didn't answer because she felt it, the pull, The same pull she'd felt when she first stepped onto the dead runway, the same silent beckoning that had followed her through the tower and into level 4, the same voice of a place that had not wanted her gone, but wanted her awake. She took one step closer. Warm air drifted from the black chamber ahead, brushing her cheeks like a warning. Or a welcome. Beneath it she sensed the faint vibration of machinery. Quiet, rhythmic, alive, not abandoned, not forgotten, running, silently, for decades. She crossed the threshold. Warmth enveloped her instantly, melting the last traces of frost from her hair and gloves. The darkness receded, not with light, but with shape. A dim golden glow emerged from hidden panels along a curving ceiling, revealing what the inner vault truly was. Not a storage room, not a treasury chamber, not an archive, a subterranean operations hub. Rows of desks formed a perfect ring around the chamber, each station armed with controls and screens preserved beneath layers of dustless glass. The equipment wasn't old. It wasn't new. It was something in between, frozen in a moment in time, waiting for a signal that never came. But one thing was unmistakable: none of the consoles were empty. Personal items cluttered their surfaces: pens, mugs, notebooks, flight logs, badges, jackets. Chairs pulled halfway back, pages mid-scribble, a radio headset looped over a monitor. This room had not been vacated. It had been abandoned mid-day, mid-thought, mid-breath. Lena's chest tightened. It was as if everyone here had been ordered to stand up and never returned. Her flashlight swept across a half-written memo. Confirmation pending central response, awaiting final. The sentence ended abruptly, the pen left uncapped beside it. A creeping dread clawed up her spine. Whatever had happened in this room had happened fast. She moved deeper into the hub, boots echoing softly. The glow above brightened slightly, as if responding to her presence. The air hummed, steady, measured, alive. A soft noise drew her attention to the center of the chamber. A single console glowed, the only one active, the only one not preserved in frozen time. Its screen pulsed with blue light. Lena approached slowly, breath catching in her throat as the text sharpened into view. Operation Fairway active status, primary asset station, online waiting for command input. Her heartbeat slammed against her ribs. This facility was not dead. It was running on stand-by, waiting for her. For the Harwood key. A faint shuffle sounded behind her. The operative had made it to his feet barely. He stumbled into the room, bracing himself against a console, his breath ragged, visor cracked from the earlier blast. His voice was raw with terror. "You don't understand what this place is." Lena didn't turn. "This is a command center," she said quietly. "For what?" He shook his head. "For something that should never have existed." Her eyes dropped to the glowing screen. Beneath the main text was a second prompt. "Identify authorized user." Lena blinked as her own name faded onto the screen. Soft, ghost-like, inevitable. Harwood, the operative swore under his breath. "They tied the whole system to lineage," he said. "Not rank, not clearance, blood. They didn't trust personnel. They trusted families. Your father was one of the originals." Lena's stomach twisted. "My father wasn't military." "No." The operative rasped, but he was an engineer, one of the code architects behind Fairway's security grid. "The failsafes are in your DNA." The glowing text flickered, awaiting confirmation. Lena stared. "My father designed this part of it," he said. "He helped lock away whatever they stole, whatever they hid, but he didn't expect someone like you to come looking." Her breath wavered. "Then what is the primary asset?" The operative's silence lasted a long, painful second. "Then, money was the decoy." His voice trembled. "The true asset wasn't currency. It was intelligence. Evidence. Black. Budget documents that could expose the entire operation. Her pulse stopped. So the crates held cash to disguise the existence of something far more dangerous. Dangerous how? Because the documents prove the airport was never a transport hub. He swallowed. It was a laundering portal, a supply chain for illegal off-books funding. Billions moved through here, disappearing into operations no one admitted existed. Lena's throat tightened, and the evidence is below us. He nodded slowly. And that, he whispered, is what those men will kill to keep hidden. Men, not just him. Others. Lena felt the chamber tilt around her. They're coming. He looked at her through his cracked visor, fear shining in his eyes. They tracked my signal when I rebooted the surface systems. More operatives are already in transit. Armed, erasing this place isn't protocol, it's survival. Lena stepped back instinctively. And what about you? What are you trying to do? The man drew a breath as if it hurt. I'm trying to keep you alive. The chamber lights flickered hard. A loud, metallic alarm burst through the room, not from the console, from the vault above. The man's face drained of color. They breached level 4. Lena's blood ran cold. The operatives had arrived, and they were now in the vault, in the facility, in the same underground labyrinth. Hunting. The screen before her flashed urgently. Final access. Unlocked primary asset storage. Open exit. Immediately, the operative grabbed her arm with frantic force. Lena, move, they're coming. She turned toward the corridor just as a distant, echoing gunshot cracked through the vault level above. A second, a third. Footsteps thundered through the metal halls. Voices shouted orders. The facility groaned as the intruders stormed downward. The man pulled her behind a console, voice trembling. You're the only one who can open the primary asset, and they know that. They will shoot on sight. Lena's pulse roared. Gunfire echoed closer. Metal boots pounded the stairs. Voices barked commands she couldn't make out. And then a chilling realization hit her like a punch. The primary asset door behind her was now unlocked. Wide open, waiting, and whatever truth lay inside might be the only thing that could save her life. As the chamber lights dimmed under the pressure of armed men descending toward her, Lena understood. The hunters had arrived, and the only way out was through the secret her father died protecting. The gunshots above weren't distant anymore. They were descending. Heavy boots hammered the metal stairs, echoing through the facility like war drums. Voices barked clipped, ruthless commands. A metallic clang jolted the air as a breach charge detonated somewhere near the level 4 entrance. The strike operatives were coming fast. They had numbers. They had training. They had orders, and Lena had none of those things. Her breath fluttered in a shallow, trembling rhythm as she crouched behind the console with the injured man. The chamber lights flickered under the shockwaves of footsteps beating through the metal skeleton of the facility. They're coming straight for this room, the man whispered, coughing hard. His visor was cracked. Blood dripped from beneath the edge of his mask. They won't stop. Not until you're dead and the primary asset is destroyed. Lena pressed her back against the cold steel, her fingers tightening around the edges of the envelope she'd torn open minutes earlier. The triangular key pulsed faintly in her palm, calm, steady, betraying no fear. Unlike her, another burst of gunfire exploded, closer this time. Shouts echoed, sector clear, move to the vault, locate the Harwood girl. Permission to shoot confirmed. Lena's heart slammed against her ribs, each beat sharp and cold. They know my name, she murmured. They knew you were coming the second you used the card in the tower. The man rasped. They've been monitoring dormant sensors for years. You woke up everything they wanted left dead. A metallic groan shuddered down the corridor, one of the heavy vault doors above being forced open. The man grabbed her wrist, Listen carefully. There's no outrunning them. They'll scan every chamber. They'll block every exit. There's only one place they won't dare follow you." Lena swallowed hard. Her voice cracked. "The primary asset room." He nodded. "It's your only chance, and it's what you came here for, isn't it?" But Lena didn't answer. She couldn't. Because in truth, she didn't know anymore. She didn't know if she had come for answers or justice, or because something in her blood had been pulled toward this buried truth, long before she understood what any of it meant. All she knew was what her father had written on the envelope flap, words she hadn't fully processed until now. "If this finds you, it means I failed. Don't let them bury what I died to protect." Her chest tightened. Her throat burned. The man pulled her closer, forcing her to look at him through his broken visor. "They'll kill you," he gasped, "but they won't risk damaging the asset. They don't know what's in there. They only know it can't reach daylight." A sudden, deafening boom shook the chamber as the last barrier above gave way. The operatives were steps away now. Lena rose. She didn't feel brave. She didn't feel ready. But something inside her, all it instinct, bloodline, legacy, knew the truth. Whatever waited in the primary asset vault was her father's final message, his last secret, his last warning, and her only path forward. Another explosion thundered overhead. Voices roared. Target confirmed. Move, move. Lena sprinted toward the inner vault. The operatives' flashlights spilled down the corridor behind her, sharp white cones slicing through the smoke and shadows. "Lena, go!" the man shouted, pulling himself into their line of fire to buy her seconds. "Run!" The gunfire started instantly, barking, screaming, merciless. The chamber rattled under the hail of bullets. Lena didn't look back. She threw herself through the circular opening into the primary asset room, just as a blast scorched the wall above her head, showering sparks across the steel floor. She landed hard, palms skidding across polished metal. From the corridor behind her, she heard the man scream, a sound that cut through her marrow, and then everything went brutally silent. Her pulse roared in her ears. No time to mourn, no time to breathe. Lena scrambled to her feet and spun around, slamming her palm against a glowing sensor beside the inner vault door. It recognized her instantly. Harwood Access verified sealing primary chamber. The door slid shut behind her with a deep thud, drowning out the shouts and gunfire beyond. Steel locks spiraled into place. Air hissed as pressure rebalanced. Only then did Lena realize she was standing alone finally, fully, inside the primary asset vault. Her flashlight swept the room, and she froze. The chamber was not filled with crates, not filled with weapons, not filled with technology. It held one single object. In the center of the room stood a cylindrical steel pod, taller than she was, wrapped in thick coils of insulated wiring and temperature regulators. Frost clung to its seams. The pod's surface gleamed under soft golden lights. A triangular insignia was etched into its side, the same emblem from the key, the same one in her father's notes, the same one that had followed her down every level. Her voice broke through the silence, brittle and small. "What is this?" She stepped closer, breath trembling. The pod pulsed with slow, rhythmic light, blue, then gold, then blue again, like a heartbeat. Like a cry from something asleep inside. A small panel near its base flickered. Text glowed across it. Primary asset class, a sealed 02/12/1991. Handle with extreme caution. Then a final line appeared. Containment status, alive. Lena staggered back, her whole body turning cold. Alive? Something alive was sealed inside, something her father helped lock away, something the strike operatives were desperate to destroy. Her hand shook uncontrollably as she reached toward the pod. A voice crackled faintly from the corridor outside, a voice amplified by a tactical mic, booming with authority. "Breach the door, now. Explosives were being primed. Lena had seconds, not minutes, not time to think. Just the truth and the choice. The pod's lights pulsed fast, responding to her presence. Her father's handwriting flashed through her mind. Don't let them bury what I died to protect. Lena pressed her palm against the pod's scanning plate, and the chamber lit up in a blaze of blinding gold. As the thing inside began to whack, the golden light burst from the pod. The instant Lena's palm met the scanning plate, so bright it carved her silhouette onto the steel walls. Heat rushed out in a violent wave, forcing her backward as the pod's internal systems roared awake. Coils along its spine glowed molten gold, trembling with a rising, rhythmic surge, like a creature fighting to breathe after decades of being locked in ice. Behind the sealed vault door, the strike operatives shouted commands. Boots pounded, metal rattled, explosives clicked and armed. Time was thinner than air. Inside the chamber, the pod throbbed with a steady, living pulse. Alive, the word hammered in Lena's mind like a drum. Alive, alive, alive. Steam hissed from hidden vents as the pod's temperature regulators released 34 years of frozen pressure. Frost on its seams melted into thin rivulets that trickled down the metal like sweat. A sharp electronic chime echoed from the scanning plate. The pod responded to Lena's DNA. Text illuminated on the panel. Harwood Protocol initiated primary asset. Resurrection sequence beginning warning. Do not interrupt. Lena's breath caught in her throat. Resurrection, not activation, not reboot, not deployment.